Don't we all dream about becoming a millionaire? Fancy clothes, amazing holidays, fast cars, waking up when you want, doing what you want, living the ultimate lifestyle. And most of us dream, at least I do anyway, I can wake up one day, have millions and millions of pounds in my bank account and pretty much do what I want when I want. According to the latest statistics, there's actually 2.4 million dollar millionaires in the UK. And that's out of a population of around 66 million people. And that means approximately 3.6% of people that you see walking around every single day are millionaires. Just think about that the next time you go and do your food shop. The question I want to answer in today's video is really that can the average person become a millionaire on a very average salary, living in a very average house in a very average part of the UK? Or is this millionaire status just reserved for the bankers rather than the baristas, or the traders, or the tradesmen? In this video, let's see if the average person can become a millionaire. I want to know, one, if it's possible, and two, how long it will take. And I think the results are going to surprise you. Firstly, what do we mean by average? Okay, we need to look at some of the facts here in the UK to understand what the average family looks like, what the average income is, what does the average household bills and expenditures look like. So, according to the latest statistics, the average salary in the UK is £26,193. Now, after all of our taxes and national insurance contributions, we get a monthly take-home pay of £1,789.45. But now we've got to take away all of our other living expenses and costs and see what we're actually left with in order to start saving up for our first million. So in the UK, the average household expenditure is £2,548. Now we need to divide that by the average number of people living inside a house, which is 2.4, and that gives us a cost, an average monthly expenditure of £1,061. Now that covers all of our essentials, that's rent, food, bills, travel, you name it. Everything's covered. The big variable factor here really depends if you rent or own your own home. And of course, whether you live in the south of England or the north of England. There's huge differences here on how much people pay on their rent and their mortgages. And that really is the key point about how much you can technically save at the end of each month. Anyway, let's have a little look about what's left in the piggy bank. What is left right at the bottom of the barrel at the end of each month? So we started with our take-home pay of £1,789. We've removed our £1,061. I'm going to push it up a little bit and say that we had a few more expenditures this month and round it down to a nice, neat, even number. So let's say we're left with just around £600, which I know will probably seem hugely unrealistic for a lot of people, but it's totally possible if we work on just average numbers and average figures. Now let's start the journey and see how an average person can become a millionaire. The most important thing that we've got to do here is take any spare money we have and invest it and get that working for us as soon as possible. That's working for us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks of the year. Our money has to be making money for us and working for us even when we're sleeping soundly in bed, dream about our next big holiday. Now the next big question is, what are you going to invest that money in? And the key word here is invest. If we just saved it away and chucked it in a bank account, it's going to lose us money every year. Inflation is going to be an absolute killer. So we need something that's going to beat inflation and give us some really good gains year after year. Now, I'm not going to say anything crazy like investing in cryptocurrency or the next interesting pyramid scheme. I'm going to go to our good old trusted friend, the index fund. To keep things really simple, I'm going to assume that we take our £600 every single month and we invest it into an index fund that covers the S&P 500, the largest stock market in the world based out of the United States. The reason I'm doing this is really for simplicity. It's the biggest stock market in the world, firstly, as I've just mentioned, contains some of the world's biggest companies and gives us a really nice, broad, diverse portfolio across all the different sectors that we need to do. And it's important to diversify because over that really long term, we need to make sure that we cover ourselves when things are going well and cover ourselves when things are not going so well. And for example, if we look back at what happened in 2020, some sectors absolutely tanked while others have soared to the moon. Now, having a diverse portfolio means that we're able to weather those storms and still see some consistent gains. Another assumption about the S&P 500 is what it's done historically, which is really effective for growing wealth. So over the past 50 years, the S&P 500 has averaged a 10% return. Now, once we knock off a couple of percent for inflation, we get around an 8% return every single year for the past 50 years on average. Of course, we've had some bad years, but overall, that's what we've seen as our interest. Now, I know you're probably still asking, how the hell are we going to become a millionaire with just £600 every single month? How long is this going to take? Well, that's probably the next big question really from your side. The earlier you start investing, the better. Now, that doesn't have to be when you're 18 years old. That can be when you're 25, that can be when you're 30 or even 40. The key thing is starting investing as soon as possible, because then we'll be able to take advantage of our Lord and Saviour, compound interest. Now I'm going to run through a few different scenarios to work out if the average person in the UK can become a millionaire. Scenario 1, if we start investing at 25 years old, which is fair, you know, we can say we maybe have been to university, we've had to get some skills and qualifications, we've given ourselves a little bit of a chance to save up some money and begin. This 25-year-old is going to put £600 every month into their stocks and shares ISA. With inside that will be an index fund linked to the S&P 500. And the next question is, how long does that person have to keep putting their money in every month to get to £1 million? Or we could just say 715,000 if we want to call them a dollar millionaire. So in this scenario, you need to invest for a total of 32 years, and you would have amassed a whopping £1.064 million, meaning that at the ripe old age of 57, you will be officially a millionaire. And that's just your investments alone. It's not even including anything else you own, including your house, cars, or other assets sitting around. What's really interesting in those investment figures is that after 20 years out of that 32 years of investment, your investment will actually be making more each year than the average UK salary. So your growth at that point after 20 years will be £26,782. So you could even stop at age 45 and have a healthy average salary coming in growth alone. Not bad at all. In scenario 2, we're going to base things around someone a teeny bit older, someone like myself who's 32 years old, but does exactly the same thing, that puts £600 a month into an index fund tracking the S&P 500 every single month for years and years and years. How quickly can I become a millionaire? I better get my pen and paper. As you may have worked out, the time it takes to become a millionaire hasn't actually changed. It will just mean that I'll be a little bit older. So by the time I've had 32 years in the market, I'll be the ripe old age of 64. So all this really shows is that the earlier you start, the quicker you can get compound interest working for you, and of course live out your financial dreams, sitting on a beach somewhere sipping a pina colada. Just for fun, in this example, let's for example say that I also retire at the same age as a 25-year-old who invested until their 64th birthday as well. They started earlier, putting in their £600 a month every single month. How much extra would you have in your investment pot starting just 7 years earlier, from 25 to 32, if we both retired at the same age of 64? You'll be amazed at this result. Given 7 years head start, the 25-year-old who also retires at 64, me having my measly £1 million, will be compared to the 25-year-old who now has an investment pot of £1.9 million. That's nearly double their investment in just a short 7 years. And now that is the true power of compound interest. Now, I just need to work out how I can go back 7 years' time and start investing in the stock market. Let me know in the comments down below. Scenario 3. What's the quickest way possible to become a millionaire on an average UK salary? Well, in this scenario, we're going to say that actually we want £1 million worth of assets, not £1 million worth of investments. So we'll include everything we own. And for most people, their biggest asset is going to be their house. So let's say we include both our investments and our house, put them together. How quickly can you have a net worth of £1 million in the UK on an average salary with average expense? Okay, so we need to look at house prices now very quickly. So the average house price in the UK at the moment is £250,000. Let's just assume we're living as a couple. So we'll split that in half. We'll say that we own £125,000 of that house right now. Mostly mortgaged at the moment, no problem at all. But we're thinking about the next 25, 30 years where that will be paid off. Okay, so house prices have been growing really, really fast in the UK recently, just like they have been across the rest of the world. Things have been going absolutely insane. Last year alone saw a price growth of nearly 10%, which means that the average house in the UK is nearly growing as much as the average salary in the UK. Absolutely bonkers. If we looked at something more realistic or more like what we've seen historically, looking at house prices growing for 5% a year, and then we compound that for the next 20 years, our £250,000 house actually grows to the value of £678,000. Now, I can't quite even believe that. Can you imagine in 20 years the average house price in the UK being over £600,000? That's crazy. But bear with me on this example. So again, we'll cut that in half. We'll work out what our share is. So half of 678 is £339,000. Brilliant. Nice big chunk of change there. Now let's see, all the money that we've been investing into the stock market will also bring us up to that £1 million. Fingers crossed. So we need £640,000 from our investments, or close enough. That means we need to invest for 27 years at £600 a month into an investment that's going to gain us 8% compound interest per year. That means if we were lucky enough to start at age 25, you'd actually be a millionaire in net assets by the time you reach 52. Thank you very much. That'll do nicely. So what do we make of those figures? Well, I know that life doesn't necessarily work like that. Emergencies happen. We want to go on nicer holidays. We want to drive nicer cars, and we might not be able to save £600 a month. The take home of the story really is that it is actually possible with a huge amount of discipline, a little bit of luck, that you really can compound interest your money and invest your money to become a millionaire on an average UK salary. But the main thing I want to show here is that it is actually possible. Being a millionaire isn't just restricted to the elites. It isn't just restricted to those born with a silver spoon in their mouth. It is genuinely possible if you invest consistently, time after time. As the best investors in the world say, time in the market beats time in the market. Consistency always wins. The earlier you can get compound interest working for you, and the earlier you can start, the quicker we can see that snowball effect and start getting us to our financial goals a lot sooner. So the final point in this video really is, if you can start early, go for it. And that doesn't matter if it's £25, £50 a month. Get yourself started now, get yourself investing. I'm going to have a video really soon on how to start investing for beginners from the beginning in a stocks and shares ISA. Keep an eye out for that one. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Make sure you leave some comments down in the box below and drop me a like if you found the video useful. Don't forget to subscribe for more. I will see you in the next one.